Ford, Ford and O'Bryan, ESPN Evansville 105.3 online, ESPN.youtube. Of course, you can check us out weekdays, Monday through Friday, from 3 to 6 here on ESPN Evansville 105.3. And we're back to make our picks for week 2. The pigskin. That was me pointing and making a statement and saying, yes, that's what we're doing.
People, man, settle down.
The Pigskin Pick'em Challenge online, ESPN.Evansville.com. We'll go through a few of the more marquee matchups, so to speak, teams of local interest as we did last week. And before we get into it, this guy here, football prophet, 13-3
Blake
last
Shelton would
week.
Say.
Whereas I did not fare as well. I was 10-6 on the week last week. You can make your picks at ESPNEvansville.com, and of course, chance there at the big game in February at $10,000. You can get all the details on our website. So let's start with the Thursday night game. We'll run through these relatively quickly, but the Thursday night game, which should be a good one, I think anyway, in the AFC West. Denver heads over to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Peyton Manning. It's game 1. You don't take too much from it, I don't think. He's on the injury report with a back injury. He said he was a little surprised by it, the fact that he was on there, but he only threw less than 200 yards, no touchdown passes. Kansas City's got a pretty stout defense and a strong run game. Who do you like there?
Denver. I do.
In Kansas City?
I do, and a lot of people are calling for Kansas City to be a playoff team, possibly
I think they
in
win
a
the
run.
division.
Well, and that's a good possibility, but Peyton Manning's Peyton Manning. This may be his last year. I can see that. I can see if it's his last year, but we've been saying that for 2-3 years now. This may be it. This might be the last thing. But yeah, I take Denver in that one. I think their offense will come alive a little bit, and Kansas City's got a good defense, but I don't think they can score enough to beat them.
See, and I think the opposite. I think Kansas City's defense gives them fits on the Denver side of things, and this may be a low-scoring game because Denver's defense showed some things against the Ravens last week too. So if they can stifle Jamal Charles and force Alex Smith into throwing more than maybe the Chiefs want him to, although Travis Kelce at that tight end position showed that he's a pretty reliable target, but I like Kansas City to win that game. The Bears will be hosting the Arizona Cardinals. The Bears get off to an 0-1 start after losing to Green Bay, a game you had the chance to watch over the weekend, and you said Chicago didn't look too terribly bad, but Arizona is a team. Carson Palmer looked good. They had no trouble with their opening week opponent. And I'll let you go first. Who do you got in that one?
I got Arizona. Chicago did look good. They did look good. Offensively, Cutler took care of the football for the most part. Matt Forte touched it a lot, which you have to do if you're Chicago. But defensively, I think they're still struggling a little bit. Arizona's defense is a little better than Green Bay's, I believe. I hate saying that, but the Packers' defense is not good. But I think Arizona wins this one. Palmer did look good. I had Arizona, I think, 11-5 on the season, winning their division possibly, and a playoff team. And with Bruce Arians, I like the guy. I got a man crush on Bruce. Yeah. That's just how simple that is. But I'll take Arizona.
I like Arizona as well. I know Andre Ellington's battling some injury there at the running back position, but Carson Palmer looks to be in pretty good shape. Larry Fitzgerald looked like he returned to form last week in their opening week matchup. And again, there's a lot of questions on the Chicago defense. I like Arizona there. Moving on, an NFC East matchup, Dallas, Philadelphia. Philadelphia came real close to winning their opening game Monday night against the Falcons. Came up a little short on that one and started off a little slow. Second half got a little bit better for them. Dallas, we know what happened there. Tony Romo throws the game-winning touchdown to Jason Witten with about 7 seconds left. Poor clock management on the part of the Giants and Eli Manning. But again, at the end of the day, I think this has the potential to be a really good matchup. I like Dallas here over Philadelphia.
I do too. And even without Dez Bryant, they've got a little bit of depth. Jason Witten's one of the best tight ends in the league. No, he's not one of the best Cowboys ever. Maybe one of. But as Tony likes to call him, the best Cowboy ever. But he's a very good tight end, and he's your safety valve. But yeah, I like Dallas in that one as well. Philadelphia got off to such a slow start against Atlanta, and again, Dallas's defense, I think, is good, and that offensive line is top of the line. It's the best O-line in the league, in my opinion. And I think Dallas gets it done.
All right, we'll move on to Seattle, Green Bay. It'll be the Sunday night game this week in a rematch of the NFC Championship game last year. The game is in Green Bay. Seattle gets, surprisingly, I'll say, upset by St. Louis last week. I don't think anybody was expecting that. St. Louis has a great defense, but so does Seattle. And to see Seattle lose on the road in St. Louis to open the season, I think, was a shock to some, myself included. But I'll tell you this, I like when you got Aaron Rodgers under center and his ability to make things happen with or without a Jordy Nelson. James Jones comes off the street basically and looks like he never left Green Bay. I like the Packers to go 2-0 on the season, and I like the Seahawks to be 0-2 after Sunday night.
Well, I'm not going to pick against Green Bay.
I didn't think you would, but I threw it in there anyway.
I'll take the loss if that's what happens. But I would agree at Lambeau. If it were out in Seattle, then it's even a tougher choice for me to go ahead and say, okay, I'll just swallow the loss, but I got to pick Green Bay. But at Lambeau, they lose rarely. They should have been in the Super Bowl last year. They had Seattle taken care of. But hats off to the Seahawks. They come back, got it done in a championship game. But yeah, I'll go with Green Bay. James Jones, as I said on the show earlier in the week, that he's a hit and miss kind of guy. This may be the only 2 touchdowns he gets all year. He may go off for 10, 12, 15 touchdowns like he did back in 2012. But he looked good. The Green Bay offense looked good. Defense still got a little bit of work to be done. But if they can get Eddie Lacy rolling to open up that passing game, nobody's going to beat him.
One more to look at, and that's the Monday night matchup between the Jets, who will be up in Indianapolis. That's the home opener for the 2015 season for the Colts. And look, the Colts did not look good against Buffalo. Andrew Luck, that Buffalo defense made him look like a mediocre quarterback. They couldn't get Gore going. Andre Johnson had not a very good start to his Colts career. And the Jets come to town with an equally impressive defense, I think, when you look at that, what the Bills did. However, with all that said, and again, if you can't pick against Green Bay, I'm not going to pick against the Colts. I like for them to bounce back and figure out what's wrong and make some adjustments and do what needs to be done. Rattle the cage of Fitzpatrick for the Jets. Try to shut down that run. Try, I say, is the key word there. They're going to give up some yards and maybe a touchdown or 2 in the rushing game. But I like the Colts to go 1-1 on the season and get the win at home Monday night.
You know, this would be another one that if it was out in Jersey, I would almost have to pick the Jets right now because the Jets always start off strong. No matter who's coaching. They start off well, and then they lay an egg coming down to, in the second half of the season or maybe even the last 2/3 of the season. But with this being at Lucas Oil, I'm going to go with Indianapolis as well. I think they've got a chip on their shoulder. They got a little something to prove. A lot of people beat up on them after the Buffalo game. And you did very, very much so. But and kind of rightfully so, as a fan. But I think they turn that around quickly, and I think they go 1-1 with a win over New York.
There's some of our picks for some of the bigger matchups coming up this week. Make sure you get to our website, ESPN.evansville.com. Make your picks before kickoff of Thursday night's game between Denver and Kansas City for this week's Pigskin Pick'em Challenge. Again, find out all the details on how you may score $10,000 with the big game in February by playing the Pigskin Pick'em Challenge. He's Jimmie Ford. I'm Ryan O'Brien. We're Ford and O'Brien weekday afternoons 3 to 6 on ESPN Evansville 105.3 and online, ESPNEvansville.com.
See ya.